We be live. Hello, everybody. Look at us here. We're full house. Everyone's here. Rivka's here. Anna's here. Elliot is here. Hi, guys.
Hey.
Warm greetings from the land of Zion.
Okay, good. Great. Rivka, are you muted? Because I'm not hearing Rivka.
I
think
am
Rivka is
unmuted now. I was muted,
Okay.
but I'm still
Yeah.
having some lag, so.
That's fine. We could hear you. We could hear you. So, guys, Rivka sent me a couple of videos. She sends me so many good videos for us to review here. It's hard for me to pick from all the stuff that she sends me. And I also want, when she sends me a whole bunch of stuff, I try to figure out which ones match with each other so that we can review like under the same topic. So I have selected 3, and basically all these 3 videos represent Arabs in different places, Arabs outside of both Palestine and Israel, Israeli Arabs, and Palestinian Arabs that are all giving the same message, which is an anti-Hamas message. So, Rivka, do you want to explain to us, just the context before we get started?
Of which video or all of them?
Well, actually, you're right. Let me put one of them up, and then you could first, you could start with that one. Let's do it this one. What is the context of this one?
Okay, so this woman is an Arab American who is, I believe, from Syria. And she is on a talk show where she's discussing, the fact that she is familiar with Islamic fundamentalism and how it affects the population. And she talks about that from that perspective, but also as someone who's familiar with that and grew up with that, why she, is against the Hamas and why they need to be, gotten rid of in terms of how people, the suffering of the Palestinians, but also how it affects global security, how it affects everyone. And she's talking about it from her perspective, but she's an Arab American.
Okay, so let me just play it. We'll go all the way through it, and then we'll see what we think about what she's saying.
I've expressed before on the program my utter solidarity with the Israeli people, but I also want to say something because I am an Arab American. My heart breaks for the Palestinians. My ancestral homeland is Syria. We have the biggest refugee crisis in the world of Syrian refugees. And what it shows me is that when a country is torn apart by terrorism, and I would include the Assad government as part of that terrorism, you cannot live in peace. You cannot live in a 21st century, prosperous, thriving place. For Palestine to be free, for the Palestinian territory to be free, they need to join in ridding themselves of Hamas. Plain and simple. If you want to see a 21st century, thriving, prosperous Palestinian territory, that's what will happen. Palestine receives billions of dollars in foreign aid from all over the world, but Hamas uses that for its terrorist efforts. The reason they don't have basic infrastructure, the reason that right now we could see their infrastructure turned off is because Hamas is living large in Qatar. All their leaders are in Qatar right now telling the Palestinian people, you need to sit here and you need to be willing to die for the cause when we're not. War is hell. I've seen it up close. There's going to be bad things that happen, but Israel has a right to defend itself.
Wow. I love that. That was great. That was great. I mean, holy crap.
I really like the fact that she succinctly says, look, terrorism destroys countries. It upsets global security. It causes problems. Part of the reason why, this is happening in Gaza is because of terrorism. She breaks it down. Yeah. But most importantly, I really like the fact that she says Palestinians have a responsibility to rid themselves of Hamas because they're the ones holding these people, back. And I like that she says that, and she just very succinctly, very quickly hits all these points.
Yeah.
And it's really, right on target.
Yeah. And I think she does a really good job of showing how it is completely consistent to be both pro-Israel and pro-Palestinian. And I think that's really, really good. And we need more of that. So unfortunately, we've seen too many people that say you can't be can't be for both. So yeah, I really like that. I don't know anything else about this lady, but that statement's big fan.
And she also touches the point that terrorism is basically destroying a society also economically, because Hamas leaders, they use whatever aid is coming to Gaza, financial aid, only to enrich themselves or build weapons and tunnels. They don't invest this money for infrastructure or for the people in Gaza. And I think this is a major component of what is going on.
Okay, so let me try to also put, the counter to all of this. I just want to also be critical here and see if we could, how do we address that, right? So one thing I think it's important to say why a lot of Palestinians need to take up the responsibility to get rid of Hamas is because, unfortunately, I don't think Israel will be able to get rid of Hamas. Hamas is a brand, is an ideology. Even if we do get rid of Hamas, it will just come back with another brand, with another group. And as much as I defend Israel's right to defend itself, as much as I understand why, in reaction to October 7th, Israel is forced into reacting in what it does in Gaza. But I also understand that what's happening in Gaza not only is not going to defeat Hamas, it actually feeds Hamas. It feeds Hamas's ideology. Again, I'm not saying Israel shouldn't be doing what it's doing. There's no other thing it could have done. But at the end of the day, this is exactly why we have Hamas. Like Hamas will grow. So Israel, as much as it says that it's going to, Israel's government defeat Hamas, this is the end of Hamas. What we're seeing right now is going to make a bigger Hamas, I think. So the only way to get rid of Hamas is for a change in mindset in the Palestinian people. And so she's right about that, I think, but I don't see that happening mostly. I mean, we do on this show go and find the people who have a different mindset, and we show it to you because we don't want people to generalize. We don't want people to do guilt by association. We don't want people to be, racist. We don't want people to see the voices that are different from others. But at the end of the day, the vast majority, I mean, I don't know, many of the people in Gaza want more war. Even they want war. Even some of the ones who are against Hamas, they want to continue the war. So when we say, oh, they should rid of Hamas, that's like a wish. It's just like, yeah, that's a beautiful wish. But yeah, how's that going to happen?
I think.
So what do you guys think?
Yeah, just real quick. I think because I saw it on all three of our faces around the same time. I think we all have something to say for that. So y'all please go ahead, please.
Well, I must say that a lot of Palestinians, both in Gaza and in the West Bank, they do support Hamas. Like, they do think that the 7th of October was justified, and they do support these terrorist acts as part of a resistance, what they think it is. And also, I want to say, although we bring here videos of Arabs speaking against the Hamas, a lot of times being against the Hamas doesn't mean that they necessarily support Israel. They can both hate the Hamas and hate Israel in the same time. Like, they can believe that Hamas is ruining the Gaza Strip and also believe that the Israeli occupation took their land and it's part of the picture why they are miserable. So they can blame both Hamas and Israel, actually.
That's a good point.
I agree with what Anna said. I also agree that, ideologies are hard to root out, and they do take a long time to change. But, and this is going to sound maybe kind of, I don't know, utopian, but I think one of the ways that people can change, and it sounds crazy, but it's through business, it's through trade, it's through that, because oftentimes people who don't like each other still do business together. and that forces them to see each other as human beings, right? Because this is why, like, some of the Abraham Accords and things like that are helpful, and this is because you might not like each other, but you're doing business, and the next thing you know, you're talking about, oh, what did you bring for lunch? Oh, how many kids do you have? And then all of a sudden, these people sometimes become human beings. Now, that's not a perfect solution, but I think it's one way that often people who are antagonistic to each other can, because it's mutually beneficial for both of them. And then through that, they see that other people are human beings. But to root out ideologies, I'm not sure how 100% goes about that. But there are examples of people who don't like each other or didn't like each other, but figuring out how to at least exist next to each other. Now, one of the ways I think that you would definitely have to go about rooting out that ideology is some of the education systems in Gaza and the West Bank, which sort of perpetuate that with children. It's very similar to what people are trying to do in Africa to change the education system about how people view witches or people with vitiligo or things like that. A lot of that stuff is taught, and you grow up believing that, and then it keeps perpetuating the next generations. But yeah, it's not easy to root out ideology, but I do think it's really important that she said that, because most of the time you can't force change from the outside. You can, kind of poke holes in it, but it's still, a lot of it has to come from people who are willing to find another way, or to see that another way exists, or another methodology.
I want to add that the problem isn't only the education system, but also the media, including the social media. I'm talking both about the news outlets and the social media. In the Arab world, in the Arabic, it is extremely anti-Semitic, and it demonizes Zionists, it demonizes Jews as well. And like, it's not even a religious hatred that much. And I don't think that it stems solely from education. It stems also from the media that actually reinforces this anti-Semitism. And in channels like Al Jazeera, it makes itself look like a news outlet when it's actually the outlet for Hamas ideology to spread.
I agree with you that it's definitely the media. I think that your point about it's not sometimes even religious, I feel like a lot of times the media or other countries, like Qatar or other Arab countries, only seem, from this is my perspective, a lot of times only seem to care about Palestinians or the Palestinian cause or people, as long as they can be used as a cudgel against Israel, because that's what they really are trying to do, is to demonize Israel, to demonize Jews. And so, yeah, I think that is definitely a problem. But, I mean, I guess it's hard to, have everything happen at once. You might, but we're talking about some of the issues. But definitely the education system. I mean, a lot of those people, like Armin talks about, how he grew up being taught these things.
Yeah. And I think
about Israel.
This is it's a very, very tough thing. And you've all wonderfully, I think, hit on so many different aspects of it that cause this perfect storm of anti-Semitism and just, general hatred. But I wouldn't be here, honestly. I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't think there was hope, right? And I know that it's a long battle. I know that it's one that doesn't feel like we make progress a lot of the times. But there is a reason that there is a flood of apostasy in Islam right now. There is a reason that people are putting down their Bibles and picking up test tubes, right? We are making progress. We are making a difference. And one of the greatest stories I think, in this whole disgusting, horrible mess is that man who even after the disgusting October 7th slaughter that Hamas committed, and his child was brutally murdered, that man still told Israeli media, I will continue to hire Palestinians. I will purposefully continue to hire Palestinians, because he knows that connection, showing individuals, look, there is a better world out there, right? You don't have to live in this hellhole that Hamas makes you live in. Doing that is one of the most powerful things for helping people change their minds, because the more that they get that exposure, the more that they desire that freedom, right? And we do see that. Again, I know it feels like slow going. I know it does, but we are in a better position now than we were 200 years ago, 500 years ago, right? Hell, even 20 years ago. We are. It doesn't always feel like that, though. But that's the reason I'm here. That's the reason we're all here. You know, we are pushing back against Islam, and it is working. It's just, it's tough. It's tough sometimes. So.
One second, guys, before Anna continues, I just want to show you the fact that 8 minutes into the show, we got demonetized. I don't know what we said.
God.
Like, what? Oh, yeah, this live stream was demonetized. What did we say?
We said
didn't
we
use-
talked about business, helping people, changing ideology.
Here we go
Like-
again.
We didn't use any of the, words like, I mean, now I'm going to say it because we already demonetized. We didn't say genocide. We didn't say, like, I don't know. We didn't talk about racism.
Right.
We didn't talk I don't know. What did we do? Like, this was
8
a very,
minutes in, we
one
had
of the
just
most
said
wholesome
hey to
openings.
each other.
Maybe we said like Hamas one time or so.
Oh my God.
I don't
You know
get
what
it.
you know what it was? You know what it was? It was that Anna said hello from the land of Zion. That's what did it,
Yeah.
That's what got us
And I
demonetized,
did this,
you know?
not going anywhere.
Right, and you're wearing that shirt. That's sort of a. So what do we do? Do we just? I don't know. Do we just finish the stream with just a bunch of dirty words now? Do we just say a bunch of naughty things, Armin, to make?
Well, I
up
mean,
for it?
I'm going to appeal it. It's just going to take too long for the appeal to process, and then by that time, we already got most of our views. So, guys, if you want to use super chats, that would be a good time right now, so that we don't have to worry about the fact that we get demonetized, and we don't have to be careful so much about what we said.
8 minutes in.
I given up.
So do you think
Yeah,
we
8
have a
minutes in.
personal enemy over at YouTube?
Somebody's just sitting there like, oh, Atheist Republic just went live, did they? Haha, not
Ding!
anymore.
No
Like,
more
literally
money.
so-
every single stream is getting
Yeah,
demonetized recently.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So look,
crazy.
like we already don't worry, guys. We got $2 Canadian demonetization relief fund. Thank you so much. Thank you. This is
Right.
you guys. Also, guys, like the stream because when we get demonetized, we get hit twice. First of all, we get demonetized. Second of all, we get deprioritized. So when you get demonetized, YouTube shows your video, it recommends it less. So if you like the video, it will help recommend it more. So please also like the stream right now. I have so many points, but I want to make sure that. Okay, so about what Rivka said, the trade. I truly believe more trade. This is why I think capitalism brings peace. Okay, because when countries trade with each other and do business with each other, they're less likely to go to war with each other, right? But so Rivka's point is so. I very much agree with that. The problem is that October 7th didn't it kind of ruin all of that, because we were like, Israel was giving a lot of work permits to people in Gaza to come work in Israel to make money and bring it back in Gaza, so there's more economic activity in Gaza, and that was one of the best de-radicalization plans out there, except the part that Netanyahu decided to give the control of the work permits to Hamas. So other than that part, the idea is fantastic. But now that is that happening anymore? Like that was this whole trying to increase. I mean, look at the level of economic activity right now in Gaza. We have completely destroyed the foundations for economic activity. So that plan is, out off the table right now. So I don't know, what do we have? We have nothing. Go on.
I think with
Oh, Anna can speak about it, but I was going to say
with jihadistic ideologies, like once the jihadistic ideology is in place in a certain space, no matter how much you try to help these people to be in a good situation economically, they are only going to use this against you. And this is what Hamas did. So like every economical advancements they do is eventually turned into terrorism. So actually, the ideas is what drives people, and not the economy. The ideology is what controls the world, not only money.
We'll talk. Wait, before Rivka speaks. Speaking of money, we just got a whole wave of super chats as our relief fund. The first one, StreamYard is not letting me highlight, is from Get What You Deserve. Thank you so much for that. And then Sorgu just gave us a $2 super chat. People say Claudine gave fired because she black. Thoughts?
She
I
was the
don't know
Harvard
if
president. She resigned.
Yeah,
technically.
I don't think because she was black. No, I think because
No.
she was like doing plagiarism. That's the reason. I don't
I
think.
think
That and-
she's saying it, but I don't know.
Yeah, that
Well,
the plagiarism came
I
out, but
think-
what started it was she was in front of Congress with a couple of other presidents of universities, and they were all pretty wishy-washy on whether or not anti-Semitism on college campuses is allowed. So
yeah,
But I don't want to
think that-
spend too much time on this.
Yeah,
I know
yeah,
we
it's
should
a
move
whole-
on.
Yeah, we're
think
going
because
to
it's
talk
not
about this at some point, though.
I think
Yes,
the reason
let's,
is
Anna. Let's
because
move.
a
Let's
bunch
move on.
of
Let's.
Jewish millionaires said that they are going to take back their
Okay.
funding and such.
Anna, we want to make sure that because we're gonna Rivka has some videos about the universities, and we're gonna make sure that we focus on that topic another day. David with a $10 super sticker. Thank you so much, David. And another David with a $20 super chat saying more demonetization relief. You guys are great. Thank you so much for that. You guys are amazing. Thank you. Oh my God, we got another one saying, guys, thank you so much. Indominus Rex is saying Modi and YouTube has one thing in common: announcements of random demonetization. Effing great, YouTube. Effing great. Yes. Well, with you guys, we got another one. $2 super chat saying, as a Jew who grew up in MA, not surprised. Okay. Where's MA? Is that a U.S. state?
I'm thinking it's Massachusetts. That's what I'm thinking.
Massachusetts. Okay.
Massachusetts.
So we non-American. Okay, guys, we non-Americans do not know these. Like, so thank you so much. All right, guys, thank you so much. So, Rivka, you had a point before I.
I wanted to make a point about what you were saying about the permits and everything. Unfortunately, a lot of we found out after 7 October atrocities that a lot of the people who were working in some of these kibbutzim were using that to be like almost a double agent and giving information to the Hamas, giving where were
we know that? I heard that. Do we know?
According to some what I've seen, they found paperwork amongst some of the dead people who on October 7th who were killed. Some of the terrorists who were committing these acts, they found some information on them, maps, things like that. Now I don't there's actually a video of showing some of the maps that people drew. Where's the security, maps with people's actual houses, things like that. Now, I do want to say you don't know if some of these people were coerced by the Hamas to do this, because they coerce them to do a lot of things, children digging tunnels and other things. And it's hard to say no to a draconian terrorist organization who's running, you know, everything. But that definitely did happen. But I still think that it's often difficult to see sort of a change or when it's happening, you know, and this goes back to, you know, kind of an enlightenment, you know, some of the Muslim world needs that, and it's awfully hard when you're trying to do that to notice it. I'm not sure during the Crusades they were maybe noticing as they were coming out of that in the Enlightenment, oh wow, we're in the middle of a changing of ideology, you know. It's hard to see that, but yeah, it's definitely difficult, not easy.
All right, so I just want to make sure. Gene also just gave us a super sticker. Thank you so much, Gene. 6 shekels. I love it when you get shekels from Israel. Okay, so I want to do the second video. I'll go, Anna. Anna, you have a point?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, someone here in the comments said before that like the world is so much preoccupied with Palestine and Israel, and Arabs who are getting hurt in other Arab countries aren't getting even nearly as much attention. Like if you go to Sudan, if you go to the Afghan refugees in Pakistan, right? They are no group of
They're Muslim, not
refugees.
Arab.
Yeah, they are Muslim. I'm sorry, I meant Muslims.
Muslim,
Yet, whenever anything, even very minor, happens in the vicinity of Israel, it is immediately world news. Why? I think a lot of this stems from, well, anti-Semitism, and also like they are already preoccupied with the some Zionists controlling the world and such theories, conspiracy theories. So immediately Israel is viewed as the occupational force, the suppressor, and like I feel that it is making a lot of injustice that we often don't talk enough about the Muslims in other places in the world who do need support. And like everyone forgot from Sudan, everyone forgot from Afghanistan, everyone just doesn't care.
Oh yeah, there's still like, I don't know, somewhere near 500,000 Rohingya refugees living in squalor and in camps in Bangladesh. So yeah, haven't heard jack about them from the Muslim community. Don't know where the Ummah is supporting their brothers and sisters, but yeah, all of a sudden bring some Jews in the mix, and then
Also,
it's like, oh.
Also, the UN, like UNRWA, is only for Palestinian refugees, and no other group of refugees is given a UN organization only for them, dedicated for them.
Yeah,
I think that's a really valid point, and we have, you know, in past, and we've heard other people that we've highlighted on videos say similar things. And that was basically the point I made about it. It seems like people don't care unless it's somehow can be used against Israel. But I think that it's kind of a sad situation. But I will say here on Atheist Republic, we do mention those things. So
yes, all of those have done segments on every single one of the things that we just mentioned. Yeah. Weird how some very large Muslim content creators haven't talked about that. Nobody in particular. Muhammad Hijab, Daniel Hakikaju, Smile to Jenna Ali Dawah. Nobody in particular.
Yes, some of the oldest videos that we have on this channel was about bringing attention to the war in Yemen. Before even back then, people were talking about it. We were talking, even before like people like Bernie Sanders and stuff. We were talking about it. And we were like wondering why nobody's talking about it. Okay, we got another 15 shekels, by the way. Thank you so much from Clifford. Thank you so much.
Remember, we convert
Zionist
everything
Zionist.
into shekels. So when you just send it as shekels, it saves us some time. So thank you for that.
Yes. We should do the second video. So guys, let me just bring this up. Okay, let me go from the beginning. Don't Elliot, don't do that. That's gonna look like something different. I don't know if you know
This?
what I'm referring to. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Okay. You're gonna have to tell me
don't-
afterwards.
Oh, you don't know what I'm referring
No,
to? People are gonna.
no.
Okay, I will tell you what.
Tell us in the
Okay.
live chat. I'm just kidding.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
As part of the pro-peace community here in Israel, we have an important message.
In order to achieve lasting and sustainable peace between Israelis and Palestinians, Hamas must be eliminated.
Because since its foundation, Hamas has sworn to destroy Israel and slaughter all Jews in its territory and beyond. It's even written in their founding charter.
They tried putting on a moderate face, but on October 7th, they showed the world exactly who they are and who we've known them to be, a murderous and genocidal terrorist organization.
Hamas is not committed to reaching a peaceful resolution, nor is Hamas committed to the Palestinian people. Hamas is committed to one thing and one thing only. They are committed to destroying the state of Israel.
So I should have asked Rivka for context before playing this. So the one on the left is Muhammad, which is an. Go on,
Yeah.
Rivka. You should.
So the guy with the glasses in the black shirt is Mohammed Zawabi, who is an Arab Israeli, and I forget the name of the guy in the yellow shirt. He's Israeli, and they are just sort of having this conversation. But Mohammed has been very active on social media, very much out there in support of his country, Israel, and has made numerous videos. You can look him up. Young guy, very funny, snarky, and very committed to not just Israel, but also he's very solution-oriented young man.
So he's LGBT. He's gay. He's Arab, and
Yes.
he's Israeli. That's Muhammad. We
Mhm.
should cover him more. This is amazing.
I've
that
been
they are-
bringing his name up every week. I've sent numerous videos, but that's okay. We have, he's got a lot to say. He is, like I said, he's very solution oriented, and he's an Israeli, so he's pro-Israel. He's pro his country. He, supports his country. He supports getting rid of Hamas, but he also has a lot of thoughts about two-state solution and supporting Palestinians. And this is why I like him, is he's not just saying these things. He's even come up with some of his own plans, and we can talk about videos like that too. Now, maybe these plans won't work, but he's one of the few young people I hear saying, well, what about this idea? Or here's how maybe we can do something else. And he gives actual solutions. He's really interesting young guy, and I find him really exciting. Makes me feel good about young people when I listen to him.
Right. Before go ahead.
I agree with Tubi Love. Muhammad kind of looks like a rock star. He looks like he's about to I don't know, rip out some sweet solo or something. Like he looks like a badass. So
right. Before we go to Anna, I just want to acknowledge Seed of Iblis just gave us $20 super chat. Thank you so much, super sticker. Thank you so much, guys. Like we now don't care about monetization anymore because you guys fully covered this show. So thank you so much, everybody. Anna, go ahead, and then I have a question for Anna as well.
Okay. Well, what is interesting is that actually Arabs in Israel are much more free than Arabs in any other Arab country. Like in any other Arab country, you can't be openly gay. You can't openly criticize the government. You can't openly even talk about politics in many of the countries. And he's doing exactly that. What people even in Egypt and Jordan, like they can't be openly gay or openly criticize the government.
That's a great point.
Go on, Rivka.
I was going to say that's a great point. And that's actually one of the things that Muhammad talks about, why he is so supportive of Israel, is the freedom that he has in his own country to be gay, to criticize the government, to talk about Palestinian rights, to talk about, anything. Basically, he, wants to, and he highlights that a lot. And I think that's a really, really good point that Anna made, is that there's also videos of people, and we had one the last live stream, the guy who does the ask Israeli, when he went around and talked to Arab Israelis and asking them, if they like living in Israel, do they like the government? And they all said, yes, I have freedom here. I have the ability to do things that I couldn't do if I was in Gaza or any other Muslim country.
Yeah, and I also want to state that they have freedom also in politics. Like they have there is an Arab party in our political system, and technically, an Arab can become a president in Israel. Like if he has the majority of votes and is able to build a coalition with the other parties, then yes, an Arab can become a president in Israel. Like this is actually. Like maybe it won't happen soon, because we see that Netanyahu and his whole government is just like the religious are extremely pro Netanyahu, how I would say. I don't really think that a political change is as easy in Israel as it maybe used to be in the past. But anyways, the Arabs, they have every single right a Jew has, a Jewish citizen has, and actually they have more rights than Jews because they don't have to serve in the military. And for example, like I study in a little bit religious university, so I have to take several courses about Judaism, and Arabs get to choose if they want to study about Judaism or want to take courses unrelated to Judaism, like the same amount of courses, but in different fields, for example.
Now, Anna, I have to say, because this is a little shocking to me. Are you saying that in Gaza there is not a Jewish political party? Are you saying that doesn't exist? Is that what about
There is
like
not a single Jew in Gaza? There is not a single Jew in Gaza. And I don't think there is.
Kind of sounds like an apartheid. I don't know. Actually, worse than
Yeah, it does, especially how they treat Christians and any other potential religious minority.
Oh wow!
Right.
But that couldn't be But that couldn't be similar to other Muslim majority countries where they're ruled by a very strict, Islamic idea. That couldn't be the case in like Saudi Arabia, right? I'm sure there's. Am I wrong? I'm wrong, guys. I'm sorry. It's I'm sorry. I just
like
I've been hearing how peaceful Islam is.
As far as I know, there is no Jewish community in Saudi Arabia or in Egypt or in Algeria. Like maybe there are still in Egypt like a couple of Jews or something like this.
There's an organization that keeps account, and I think they said at last count it was like 7 in Egypt or something.
Literally under 10. Oh my gosh.
And the same in Iraq. There was one in Afghanistan. He finally emigrated. His wife and children had years before, and he finally did. But I think that the point that about having no religious minorities in a lot of these other Middle Eastern countries is actually really important to highlight, because people are constantly saying all these things about Israel, but there's 2 million Arabs, there's thousands or hundreds, maybe I think 1,000 of mosques, churches, there's Christians, there's Buddhists, that you can be free to be an atheist. Gay people actually from West Bank and Gaza come to Israel for asylum. Israel, helps, gives them safety. Sometimes they don't stay there, but they know that they can go there, as a stepping stone. So I think that
all right.
is
Yep, go
important
on.
to talk about. And I was going to say something else, but somehow I forgot it. So we'll just move on.
Oh, see, this is why I have a notepad, Rivka, next to me with a pen.
Well,
Armin, you wanted to
Mr.
ask me
Prepared.
something?
Yes,
Did you
before I
want to
ask you that, let me just show you guys that this atheist channel, we talked about the war in Yemen, like one of the earlier shows that we did. This is way back 6 years ago. We were talking about the war in Yemen, and what I did, I brought this person from Yemen to talk about. And again, back when we were talking about it, this was like even a couple of years after this, people started actually talking about Yemen. But on Atheist Republic, when we decided to talk about Yemen, there was like silence. 6 years ago, there was nothing I could find on social media, not much about Yemen, and we were talking about it. So it's weird that this atheist channel was talking about how, and again, the title was also back then, the war in Yemen. Why no one why is no one talking about this? So not much has changed from then. And I'm proud of us. I'm proud of the fact that we realize how big of a human tragedy this is, and we're not tribal. We don't. I know Yemen is an Islamic country, and we wanted to raise the alarm about it, and we didn't see the same thing from Islamic channels. We see this on this atheist channel, but we didn't see it on Islamic channels, which is weird.
Also,
go on,
speaking of
Elliot,
speaking of nothing changing, I mean, dude, you haven't aged a day. If that video was 6 years ago, it looks like you shot it yesterday. Like, guys, our founder might be immortal. Okay, I'm just saying he might be a god. We don't know yet, but
well, no, my
anyway.
hair is getting white. Getting white.
Yeah,
hair.
I mean, you got like a little salt and pepper, but nothing. No, you look great, man.
Yeah. So I have a question from Anna. So we see like this Muhammad guy
of the
here.
pro-peace
Hold on. We saw Muhammad here talking about being pro-Israel, having these narratives. How safe is it for Arabs in Israel to come out and be so pro-Israeli and so anti-Hamas? Like Muhammad, I know there are some Arabs in Israel that might be radical and anti-Israel, even though they're Israeli citizens themselves. Is it safe for someone like Muhammad, or is it fine? What do you think?
Well, it depends on their community. Like some Arab villages might be very much against it and treat them as traitors and expel them from the family for being gay and such things. But like maybe in regard to Israel specifically, like the Druze are usually very pro-Israel, and I think that if you live in a Druze village, which they are also Arabs, so then it will be fine. Of course, if you live in a Jewish city or even a mixed city with both Arabs and Jews, then you will be fine. Like nobody is going to hurt you. Like I certainly think that Arabs here are more free inside Israel to express their ideas and also being openly gay than in Egypt, for example. Like
yeah, obviously relative to Egypt.
So even
obviously, yeah.
Like,
but I'm thinking more like I'm not thinking like relative to Egypt. I'm thinking like relative to, I don't know, Canada, for example. Is like, less safe for like, yeah, go on.
The only reason they might be in danger for being like gay or being pro-Israel is if the local community around them is rural and against these ideas. Like if their family is extremely anti-gay, then of course it might play a role in their safety, right? So yeah.
Okay. And Elliot, you had a point?
I don't think so.
No. I wanted to say really quickly, and then I think we should look at Yuval's question. But that was actually, I just remember what I was going to say. I think that it's very important to highlight this because I've ran into people in real life and on social media who, if I say Arab Israelis, they say there's no such thing. It's not true. It's, then everybody, there is suffering. They hate the country. And so I think it's really important to bring people like Mohammed and others up, because this is a very easily verifiable fact that people are refusing to acknowledge because it somehow shakes their perceived narrative,
When people say that there is no such thing as Arab Israeli, like, come to the cafeteria in my university. It's a Jewish university, but the cafeteria there is like Baghdad, okay? Everyone speaks Arabic. The workers speak Arabic. A lot of Arab students just sit together and kind of chat. So it's like walking through the streets of Baghdad.
And what y'all are pointing out is, again, at
Baghdad
the core
is not that nice.
of hang on.
Okay.
What y'all are pointing out and highlighting is the core of anti-Semitism, right? It's when somebody just decides to lump all of these people into this group and say you're all like this, right? And that's what they're doing. They go, what Arab Israeli? Well, that's not possible, because you have to be Jewish and you have to be one of those Western occupation, come over like last year, like steal somebody's land, kill a bunch
and
of
Ashkenaz too.
And Ashkenaz, right? So it's like that's when we talk here about how deep the roots of anti-Semitism run, this is what we're talking about. When you say, when you hear somebody say something and they just say, just real casual statement like, well, no, there's no Arab Israelis. Well, there's no, Arab Jews, well, Jews all like this or whatever, or all Jews that's anti-Semitic, you guys. That's what we're trying to point out and fight against. So stop doing that. If it's surprising to you that's a single person could be both Arab and Israeli, you might be a bit anti-Semitic, guys. You might want to look in the mirror. It's okay. It's okay. Just stop doing it, because, it's not really okay. Just fix it. So anyway.
All right, guys, we need to move to the third
Yes.
video, or else we're not going to be able to finish this under an hour. Gage American, though, with the super chat. Thank you so much, Gage American, saying, what are your thoughts on calls for ceasefire? Yeah, I mean, no, we can't. I don't agree with ceasefire right now. Eventually, yes, but not right now.
Hamas can ceasefire. We're okay with that.
That's an interesting question. Why hasn't anybody asked that question? Like, it always seems to be why doesn't the IDF put down their arms? Why hasn't anybody asked the question, why won't Hamas put down their arms? Weird.
You know who has
and actually
American representative for the Secretary of State has said that several times. I actually have a video. We can talk about it later.
But this is exactly the point, because the way you have a ceasefire, I'm for ceasefire, but the way you have a ceasefire is when both sides come to an agreement. You don't get ceasefire when you get one side, to accept something and you have no conditions for the other side. And because Hamas is not an entity that comes to an agreement and agrees to like certain standards, then there's no possibility for a ceasefire. It's ridiculous to ask for a ceasefire when you're only asking one side. So given Hamas, the only way that you could have a ceasefire is by defeating one side, at least militarily. That's how you get a ceasefire. But go on, Rivka.
I was just going to say, Israel last week offered a week-long ceasefire in exchange for release of hostages, and the Hamas said no.
What? I thought they wanted what? True. Are you sure, Rivka? Yeah. She's right.
When you negotiate a ceasefire, you have to come to a state where both of the parties, they come to this agreement with having like good intentions in mind, and Hamas only uses the ceasefire to arm itself, to rearm and to regroup its forces, and then to again attack Israel when it's not ready.
And that's actually a really important point, because if we want to go back to some of what we said in the very beginning about how the Hamas isn't interested in a two-state solution, one of the somebody said that in one of the videos, and not interested in finding peace, that they have one raison d'être, and that's the elimination of Israel. And so it's very difficult to negotiate with a party that you're not sure if you can trust, that the reasons for negotiation aren't the same as yours, that they're using this as an excuse. So it's quite difficult. And that's something that people need to understand, that it's not like two people who both have the same goals in mind. No, not at all.
We got 6 shekels as jizya. Thank you so much. I mean, I guess I'm supposed to take the jizya, given that I'm the ex-Muslim here, but thank you so much for this is very fitting, getting this is okay. But okay, thank you so much for the shekels. Let's go to the last video, or else we're all right. So this is going to be difficult for me to do, because the font, this is in Arabic, and there's English translation, and the font is very small, so I have to come kind of close to the screen to be able to read it.
I can read the Hebrew one. I can translate.
No,
from
it's
the
okay.
Hebrew one.
No, I don't want to do real. I'll just read the translation, because I want to make sure that whoever officially translated this will read that one. But Rivka, can you give us some context before I play it? Oh, you're muted, Rivka.
This is a phone call between IDF and Gaza, someone who lives in Gaza, and they're talking about how the person from Gaza is talking about how the Hamas controls all the aid and all the services, and so these
so for people who don't, sorry.
So these two are having a phone call, and it's been recorded.
Right. So for people who don't know, IDF calls inside Gaza to try to warn people to get out of warning them that this is going to happen, that's going to happen, like get out of the way, like make sure you're not in this area. So they have a lot of Arab speaking IDF soldiers that constantly tries to call within Gaza to give them the information they need to keep themselves safe or get access to food or medicine or whatever. So that's something that the Israeli military does. So this is one of those calls that we're listening to the recording of it. So let's see what happened here. Again, I have to come really close to be able to read that. So this is the Gazan resident speaking, saying the situation is terrible. So the IDF soldier is saying, I understand the situation is terrible.
فاهم إنه الوضع مزري. أنا فاهم إنه الوضع مزري.
The Gazan resident says the situation is terrible. And then he said the Gazan resident says, because the humanitarian people, those responsible for the humanitarian aid, are thieves. Okay. Again, this is a Gazan resident saying this to the IDF soldier. And then the IDF soldier officer asks, sorry, I said soldier, I should have said officer. The IDF officer asks, why are they thieves?
ليش المساعدات حرامية؟ يعني في هناك عناصر.
And the IDF officer says, are Hamas operatives taking the food from the humanitarian services?
حماس اللي عم ياخذوا من هذا الأكل من المساعدات الإنسانية.
The Gazan resident responds, of course. Whenever Hamas goes, wherever Hamas goes, total destruction follows.
وين حماس وين موجودة وين بتكون موجودة بتخرب.
بس
So the IDF officer responds, but this place is for humanitarian purposes.
هذا المكان هو للمساعدات الإنسانية يعني.
And then the IDF officer continues saying they must give the food to civilians.
يجب عليهم إعطاء الغذاء إلى المدنيين. شو دخل حماس؟
IDF officer continues, what is Hamas connection to it? I think connection to Hamas's connection. So you say Hamas shouldn't even be involved in this humanitarian relief. Why is Hamas even there? I think that's what the Gazan resident saying, what is Hamas What is Hamas, my
يا
brother?
سيدي العزيز حماس
Hamas is involved in everything.
حاطة ايدها على كل حاجة عشان
It's best you know.
تبقوا انتم فاهمين. حماس حاطة
Hamas has their hands on UNRWA administration workers, and it manages UNRWA. So basically, I think he's saying that the whole humanitarian process in Gaza, Hamas is managing it.
ايدها على موظفين الوكالة، هم القيادات في رئاسة الوكالة، هم
They are those in charge in this agency,
المسؤولين في الجمعيات، هم المسؤولين
and those in charge everywhere
في
else.
هان وهان. من يوم ما مسكوا
They rose to power. They took control of everything.
البلد هم ماسكين كل حاجة إلها سيطرة على البلد.
يعني
Then the IDF officer says, as in they do not provide food to
ما عم
civilians.
يعطوا المدنيين ولا أي غذاء.
بيعطوا
So the Gazan resident says they provide for their people first. Oh, so they get the food, they give it to Hamas members.
يعطوهم الحاجات.
بيعطوا خصاتهم بالأول.
IDF officer says, do you speak with the agency, like the UNRWA, and tell them these things? Like, do you go tell them these things?
وانتم يعني جربتم تحكوا مع الوكالة وتقولوا لهم هذا الشيء يعني
IDF officer continues, you mean those in charge in the agency, like not the people on the ground? Like, do you like report the fact that Hamas is doing this to the top officials in the agency?
الوكالة.
مع مين بدك؟
The Gazan resident says, who could you speak with? What I'm telling you right now is unknown. No one knows about it.
اللي بيحكي ما حدش
مسؤولين
بيعرف عنه
الوكالة
وين.
كمان.
And then the officer says, in charge of the agency, agency cooperate with Hamas.
عم يتعاملوا مع حماس.
سيدي
The administration, so the Gazan resident is saying, the administration workers in the agency are Hamas operatives.
موظفين الوكالة هم حماس.
موظفين.
So I think he's saying like even the people up top are Hamas. So like those in, so the officer saying those in charge of the agency cooperate with Hamas.
الوكالة هم حماس.
The Gazan resident says absolutely yes. So he's saying even the people at the top, like who do I complain to? They are the ones who are cooperating with
دي حاجة
Hamas.
بعيدة عنكم، بس هي أكيد لا أكيد مش بعيدة عنكم. اللي ماسك
Those who control. So the Gazan resident is saying those who
اللي ماسك يعني رؤساء الأقسام أو
that is those in charge of the departments or the regional headquarters of the agency.
قيادات المناصب هذه في الوكالة.
All right.
هم
Are Hamas operatives themselves? Oh, they're not just cooperating with Hamas. They themselves are the Hamas operatives themselves.
نفسهم من أعضاء حماس.
Okay, so that was interesting. By the way, this is not denied anymore. Like this is like even anti-Israel humanitarian groups are admitting that this is what's happening in Gaza. Go on, Anna.
Well, what is actually striking in this recording, the UNRWA, like here in Israel, we just call it UNRWA. This humanitarian organization is a humanitarian organization from the UN, from the United Nations, and it is only tasked with the help to Palestinian refugees. Like this is their humanitarian organizations from the UN, from the United Nations. So even if any aid is coming to Gaza Strip, it must come through through this organization. So basically, it means that every aid coming in is Hamas has its hand on it. Even the United Nations are corrupted with the involvement of Hamas.
And
Rivka?
there have been some reports and videos and pictures of like UNRWA schools, funded schools and they have weapons, UNRWA teachers that work for the Hamas, in some other infrastructure positions that any society would have. Also, supposedly, the UNRWA funded or UNRWA associated with that are either working for Hamas or are the Hamas. So this is a big issue that is really coming out now, especially now that IDF is finding tunnels and finding weapon stores, and they finding even UNRWA documents or UNRWA funded areas, people who work for them. So it's absolutely the case. And this is something that Israel and other Zionists in the world have been saying for a long time, that they're, you know, and also this extreme, it seems from my point of view, bias at the UN against Israel, almost like an obsession with
and
Israel.
also, before this war, I read an article about the schools in Gaza that are managed by this organization, and even in those schools, they teach a jihadistic ideology and anti-Semitic things, anti-Semitic materials. So basically, Hamas, his hands are involved in everything, including like the organizations that are supposedly there to help Palestinians. They are not really independent from Hamas.
Right.
And this is
so, guys. We are so Elliot. Say this.
30 seconds.
Because,
yeah. This is just what makes it so difficult whenever people are talking about sending aid to Palestinians, sending aid to Gaza. The issue is that it is a known fact that not 10% is going to be skimmed off the top. 95% of it is going to go immediately into the hands of Hamas leaders to cushion themselves more, to give themselves lavish lifestyles while the rest of their people suffer. We know that. And so simply saying, let's just bring more aid to Gaza doesn't help Palestinians. We need more nuanced solutions. So just stop thinking it's an easy fix. Oh yeah, just send them food, just send them money. No, Hamas is going to steal it and they're going to use it to kill more Israeli civilians. So not a good answer.
Okay.
And if you want to, there are independent organizations. I actually live in a town where one of the guys who started one of the independent organizations, that's a medical, you know, I went to college with him. He's American, not Palestinian. So if you do want to send aid, you have to really do some research and find an independent organization that the money is actually going to people.
All right, guys, I need to really move on because there's I have a show coming on the Atheist Republic Persian channel, and there has been a major explosion in Iran. And by the way, guys, if you speak Persian, our Persian channel is called Jumhuriye Bi Khodayan, and me and Anna are going to be there in a few hours. Anna, if you have a point, like I really need to go and prepare for that, so say it really fast.
Well, about what Rivka just said, like how can he still be sure that Hamas isn't taking over any resources coming to Gaza? I mean, they control everything.
Right.
We can talk about that later, but to the best of my knowledge, he's doing everything he can.
Yeah, okay, we could have that another topic. But so we got a super chat by Indominus Rex saying, why would Hamas have ceasefire? It's like refusing to be Ghazi and Shahid and foregoing Jannah. Jannah means heaven, guys. I feel bad for Gazan civilians. Yeah, so right, based on their ideology, they have no motivation for ceasefire. Like, get the point. Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much for the
Ghazi
point
is
and
a
also
warrior,
for the super chat.
by the way. Ghazi is a warrior. Yeah.
Got it. Okay, great. Thank you, Anna. By the way, I just want to thank everybody for the super chats because again, we used to not know how to make this work with all the demonetization, but you guys are amazing. And also, guys, if you can't support us financially, just like the stream. That also very helps a lot. I also want to respond to this. Ray saying, is pointing out the Jewish state's atrocities anti-Semitic or what? So I just want to say, Ray, for example, I love Israel because I don't consider it to be a Jewish state. I consider Israel to be a secular state. So you're calling it a Jewish state. I don't want it to be a Jewish state. You know, we have so many Arabs living in Israel as citizens, right? So I don't know why would that be considered a Jewish state. And also, no, it's not anti-Semitic, and that's why we here on this channel ourselves have criticized many different decisions and policies by Israel. We love Israel, but every country makes mistakes, and we criticize it. I mean, I have been hugely anti-Netanyahu and anti-Likud on this channel, so we have criticized. We don't claim any criticism of Israel is anti-Semitic. In fact, we have done it here ourselves. So there you go.
Attributing the atrocities that have been committed by the state of Israel to every individual Jew around the world, or every Israeli citizen, though, is anti-Semitic. So there you go, Ray. You got both sides of it. You should understand. So
yeah, and also that was the point I was going to make. No, absolutely, people are free to make criticisms. And actually, Mohammed Zawabi, the Israeli Arab that we discussed, he talks about some of his criticisms of the state. But the point is, oftentimes that's just cover sometimes for anti-Semitism, or just a way to, you know, provide sort of a veil for the anti-Semitism. But no, that's the whole point that we were making in the beginning, is Mohammed Zawabi is an Arab Israeli, and he actually is also criticizing the government at the same time in some situations.
And like, for example, a lot of times when people talk about atrocities committed by Israel, they say, oh, Israel is bombing hospitals in Gaza, it's bombing schools in Gaza. But they don't say that Hamas is hiding their military supplies and tunnels underneath those schools and hospitals, and are hiding within the civilian population. So, like, doing this thing, criticizing Israel for bombing hospitals without saying that Hamas purposefully uses hospitals as a cover, I think this is anti-Semitic.
Well, also,
great point. Go on, Rivka, really quick.
To this point, also, a lot of the alleged atrocities are actually blood libel lies. You know, stealing organs and you know, all these things, which are a lot of them directly from some of, you know, anti-Semitic tropes that people have been saying for years and years. But that good point, Anna.
Yeah, then last point I saw people also mention in the live chat, which we should add, is like, it's not anti-Semitic to criticize Israel, but if you only criticize Israel and don't look at other countries, and also when you're concerned about Muslims in Gaza so much, but when Muslims everywhere else are suffering sometimes even more, and you don't seem not to care about it, then it kind of seems like you are anti-Semitic. When your outrage is this selectively focused on Israel, that kind of suggests that you're anti-Semitic. All right, guys, thank you so much. Don't leave here without liking the stream. You know, it doesn't cost you anything other than half a second, and it does make a huge difference to the channel. When you spend half a second to like the stream, YouTube's algorithm like, oh, somebody liked the stream, I need to show the stream to more people. So you, by just like, it actually helps you as well, because when you like the stream that you just watched, YouTube realizes what it needs to recommend to you, so it understands you better, and it feeds you stuff that is you're more likely to enjoy. So it helps you, but it also really helps us, because and the suggested, you know, different parts on the home feed, on the sidebar, more people are going to see this video because you like the stream. So please just do that before you go. And if you want to help out even more, once the stream is over, please leave a comment under the show. Those really help. So yeah. Anyways, thank you, Rivka, so much for giving us this video today. They were amazing. Thank you, Anna and Elliot, for your amazing commentary. You guys are amazing, and you make the show so great. So thank you, everyone. All right, guys. Bye.